Okay, so for this one, you could do this as Magic or AC. Those both tackle the same problem, so they're sort of two tools for the same job. I'm going to show this both ways, and then whichever one makes the best sense for you would be the one I tell you to go with. And that said, they both are a bit difficult. So here it goes. Our first step for any factoring problem is to see if there's a GCF. And it is absolutely imperative to get that thing out of your way, because if you don't, it makes the problem like basically impossible to do. So looking here, I got a 40, a 44, and a 12. And it looks like the biggest number that goes into all of those is going to be a 4. 44 is 11 times 4, so that's, and then I'm kind of checking that 4 against the others. So let's bring the 4 out front, and that's going to leave us a 10z squared minus 11z, and then plus 3. And then the next step, and this doesn't matter if we're doing Magic or AC, these first couple steps are the same. The next thing we would do is do the A times the C. So A times C is 30. And then we ask what multiplies to 30 and adds to be negative 11. And so that would be negative 5 and negative 6. From here, that's where you have to decide, do I want to do this AC method or Magic method? I'll show AC first, and I'll show the thing that I don't love about this is right here. So when we do AC, we rewrite this middle term using these twos. Let me get that written out. Minus 5z 6z plus 3. And now we've turned it into a 4-term grouping problem. And the places where people have trouble with this is, one, if there's a GCF, this gets really messy to write because you end up with a 4 bracket and then parenthesis, and you sort of end up with these inside parentheses, and people get all kinds of messed up on that. And then the other place people have trouble is on this sign right here. So that's the two reasons why I don't totally love this method. But let me show it. So something I'm going to do, rather than use all those parentheses, and this is what I would tell students to do when I would teach this in class, is draw yourself a little arrow. And this is like terrible math notation on my part, but it'll help you not get messed up and get lost in your handwriting up here. But draw a little arrow there, just reminding yourself to put the 4 back there in a second, and then just drop these parentheses, work on this inside part, get to your answer, and put the 4 back at the end, and that will clean it up a little bit. So just worrying about right there, I got 10z squared minus 5z, so let's take 5z is the greatest common factor for just those two terms. Now I'm doing 4-term grouping. And let's see, so that's going to leave a 2z minus 1. Because I found these numbers, I know this is going to work. So I'm going to write down my 2z minus 1 again, and then figure out what I got to do to get there, because that's where I got to end up. And to do that, it looks like I need a negative 3. And that's the sign right there that I was saying that students have such a hard time with. If I distribute back, negative 3 times 2 does make negative 6, and negative 3 times negative 1 does make positive 3. But it's hard to see from up here. That's why, for me, I like to write this term again and go, that's what I got to make it do. And if I know where I'm getting to, then I get my sign right here. And now this is the kind where we have the binomial in each of these terms, but they're still common, so I can bring that out front. So that's going to look like 2z minus 1. So I'm taking this common factor, bringing it out front, and that's leaving behind the 5z minus 3. And then that's where you would have to remember to put the 4 back. But what it saves you is, I'll just kind of show you what it looks like here if I write it. Actually, let me get rid of this. Okay, there's too many steps. If I write this out, it's this line right here that people just, those extra set of brackets really messes them up getting to here. So that's what I would say. Don't write those, draw the arrow, leave yourself just a reminder to put the 4 back. Okay, so that's what I don't love about that method. The Magic method, I think it's easier, but that's me. So we would still do all these steps right here, and then 10z and minus 5, and then we do 10z minus 6. So all we do is we take this first number here, the a, and we duplicate it, and then we know we got to divide out 10. Because right now I just put in an extra factor of 10, it's going to reduce out somewhere. So looking at these first two terms here, I can take out a 5 on those. And looking at this second bit here, 10 and 6, they have a common factor of 2. And if you look, 5 times 2, that's the 10. So I'm just throwing an extra 10 in for a second, knowing that I'm going to divide it right back out. But what it does is it makes me not have to think through all this stuff here in the middle. So now if I reduce, 5 goes into 10 twice, 5 goes into 5 once, 2 goes into 10 5 times, and 2 goes into 6 3 times. So I really think this is easier, but there's two methods, I guess.